NEC Section 424.19 at what were addresses disconnecting means for permanently connected electric heating appliances. Specifically, it deals with situations where the disconnecting means is not within sight of the heating appliance. This section is critical for ensuring safety during maintenance or repair of these appliances. The relevant portion of the code states that where the blower motor is installed in a closet without sufficient space for a disconnecting switch, the disconnecting means shall be permitted to be installed external to the closet and shall be lockable in either the open or closed position. Let's break down what this means in practical terms. Firstly, the code acknowledges that sometimes air handlers, which often include blower motors, are installed in locations where there isn't enough room for a traditional disconnect switch. This is particularly common in older homes or in situations where space is at a premium. Secondly, to address this, the code allows the disconnecting means to be located outside the closet. This means the disconnect can be in a more accessible location, such as the main electrical panel. Thirdly, and most importantly, the disconnecting means must be lockable in either the open or closed position. This is a crucial safety feature. It ensures that the power to the air handler can be completely shut off and locked out during maintenance or repair, preventing accidental energization. Now let's talk about what constitutes a suitable disconnecting means in this context. A common solution, and one that complies with the code, is a breaker lockout device. This device is permanently installed on the breaker in the electrical panel that controls the air handler. The device allows a padlock to be attached, effectively locking the breaker in the off position. This prevents anyone from accidentally turning the breaker on while someone is working on the air handler. It is important to understand that the breaker lockout device must be permanently installed. This ensures that it is always available when needed and cannot be easily removed or misplaced. The code doesn't explicitly state that this only applies to commercial locations. The interpretation is that if the situation matches the conditions described in the code, namely an air handler in a closet without sufficient space for a disconnect, then the breaker lockout device is an acceptable solution, regardless of whether it's a residential or commercial setting. The key is that the disconnect is lockable and located external to the closet. Now let's delve a little deeper into the specifics of interpreting and applying this code section. One important point to consider is what constitutes sufficient space for a disconnecting switch. The code does not provide a precise definition, but generally, it refers to enough space to safely operate the disconnect switch and to perform any necessary maintenance or repairs on the switch itself. This would include adequate clearance around the switch, as specified in other parts of the electrical code, to prevent accidental contact with energized parts. If the closet is so small that it's impossible to install a disconnect switch with the required clearances, then the conditions for using a breaker lockout device are met. Another important consideration is the type of breaker lockout device used. There are many different types of these devices available, and it's important to choose one that is specifically designed for use with the type of breaker in question. The device should be sturdy, reliable, and easy to install and use. It should also be made of a non-conductive material to prevent electrical shock. Furthermore, the padlock used with the breaker lockout device should be of high quality and specifically designed for lockout/tagout applications. The padlock should be clearly labeled to indicate that it is being used to lock out the breaker, and the person who installed the lock should be the only one with the key or combination. This prevents unauthorized removal of the lock and ensures that the power remains off until the maintenance or repair work is complete. In addition to the requirements of NEC Section 424.19 at WATWO, it's also important to comply with all other applicable requirements of the electrical code. This includes proper wiring methods, grounding, and overcurrent protection. The air handler should be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions, and all electrical connections should be made by a qualified electrician. Finally, it's always a good idea to consult with the local electrical inspector to ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and regulations. The inspector can provide valuable guidance and help to avoid any potential problems or violations. Now, let's address some common scenarios where this code section might be applied. Imagine an older home with a small closet that houses the air handler. The closet is so cramped that there's simply no room to install a disconnect switch with the required clearances. In this case, a breaker lockout device would be an acceptable solution. The breaker lockout device is installed on the breaker in the main electrical panel that controls the air handler. A padlock is then used to lock the breaker in the off position whenever maintenance or repair work is being performed on the air handler. Another scenario might involve a commercial building with a similar situation. Perhaps the air handler is located in a small equipment room with limited space. Again, a breaker lockout device would be a suitable way to comply with the code. It's important to note that the breaker lockout device should be readily accessible. It shouldn't be hidden behind other equipment or in a location that's difficult to reach. The device should be clearly labeled so that anyone who needs to use it can easily find it. In addition to the breaker lockout device, it's also a good idea to install a label or sign near the air handler indicating the location of the breaker that controls it. This can help to prevent confusion and ensure that the correct breaker is turned off during maintenance or repair. So, to summarize, NEC Section 424.19 what allows for the use of a breaker lockout device as a disconnecting means for an air handler installed in a closet without sufficient space for a conventional disconnect switch. The disconnecting means must be located external to the closet and must be lockable in either the open or closed position. This is a valuable exception to the general rule that disconnecting means must be within sight of the equipment they control. However, it's important to carefully consider all applicable code requirements and to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to ensure that the installation is safe and code compliant. The key takeaways are: firstly, space constraints justify remote disconnects. Secondly, lockable breakers are essential for safety. Thirdly, compliance with all other NEC requirements is mandatory. Fourthly, consult with inspectors for clarification. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards designed to ensure the safe installation of electrical systems. It is updated every 3 years to reflect changes in technology and best practices. It's crucial for electricians and other electrical professionals to stay up to date on the latest code requirements to avoid violations and to protect people and property from electrical hazards. Understanding the nuances of the NEC, especially sections like 424.19 at what requires careful reading and interpretation. It often helps to consider the intent behind the code, which is always to promote safety. The NEC isn't just a set of rules, it's a tool for creating a safer electrical environment. Remember to always prioritize safety and to seek expert advice when you're unsure about any aspect of electrical work. Incorrect installations can lead to serious consequences, including electrical shock, fire, and property damage. Investing in proper training and education is essential for all electrical professionals. This includes not only learning the basics of electrical theory and practice, but also staying informed about the latest code requirements and industry best practices. Continuing education courses and seminars are a great way to stay up to date and to expand your knowledge. Furthermore, it's important to develop a strong working relationship with your local electrical inspector. The inspector is a valuable resource who can provide guidance and help to ensure that your installations meet all applicable codes and regulations. Don't hesitate to ask questions and to seek clarification on any points that you're unsure about. By working together, electricians and inspectors can help to create a safer electrical environment for everyone.